The day my own sister called me a criminal, I smiled. Not because it was funny, because pain has a strange way of becoming familiar when it comes from the people who know exactly where to hurt you. My name is Elena. I'm 36 years old, and for most of my life, I was known as Maya's older sister. She was charming, loud, beautiful in the effortless way people envy. I was quieter, more private. I preferred truth over attention, work over applause. Growing up, Maya hated that. If I earned something, she said I got lucky. If I stayed calm, she said I was cold. If I succeeded, she said I was hiding something. And maybe that was true, because for 12 years, I had lived a life no one in my family truly knew. I worked for a federal intelligence division under a title I could never explain. My schedule was strange, my travel was sudden, my silence was required. To them, I was secretive. To me, I was protecting them. But secrets create stories, and jealous people love writing them. Maya worked as an executive assistant for a powerful tech company downtown. She had always bragged about her connections, her office, her wealthy boss named Richard Hale. He respects sharp people, she once told me over dinner. You'd never survive there. You're too awkward. I let her speak. I always did. Then, one Friday, she called me unexpectedly. "Richard is hosting a private networking event tonight," she said sweetly. "Come with me. Dress nice. Maybe I can help you finally meet real people." Her voice was too kind. That should have warned me. Still, I went. The penthouse was filled with glass walls, expensive laughter, and people performing confidence like theater. Maya greeted everyone like royalty. When she saw me, she kissed my cheek and whispered, "Try not to embarrass me." I should have left then. Instead, I stood near the balcony holding sparkling water, watching strangers pretend to be important. Then I heard my name. Maya stood beside Richard and a small group of executives. "This is my sister Elena. Be careful though, she has a past." They laughed politely. Richard raised an eyebrow. "A past?" Maya sighed dramatically. "She had legal trouble years ago. We don't know everything. She disappears for months, changes numbers, never explains anything. Honestly, we always wondered if she had some criminal connections." The room grew quiet. Every eye turned toward me. My chest tightened, not from fear, but disappointment. After all these years, this was still who she was? Richard looked at me carefully. "Is that true?" Before I could answer, the elevator doors opened. Two men in dark suits stepped out, followed by a woman carrying a secure case. The room froze. One of the men scanned the crowd, then smiled when he saw me. "Ma'am, sorry we're late." He walked directly to me. Then, in front of everyone there, he nodded and said, "Director wants confirmation, Commander." The glass in Maya's hand slipped and shattered on the floor, and that was only the beginning. The silence after that moment was almost beautiful. Maya looked like the world had tilted beneath her feet. Richard's confident smile disappeared. The escorts who had just enjoyed her little story suddenly found the walls fascinating. I placed my drink down slowly. "Commander," Richard repeated. The agent turned to him politely. "Yes, sir." He didn't offer details. Men like him never needed to. I looked at Maya. Her face had gone pale. "Elena, what is this?" I could have humiliated her right there. I could have listed every lie she told about me over the years, every rumor, every insult disguised as concern. But betrayal from family cuts differently. It doesn't make you loud, it makes you tired. I simply said, "It's my job." She laughed nervously. "Stop joking." "I'm not." The female agent beside me opened the secure case. Inside were documents, devices, and a sealed envelope. "We need your authorization immediately," she said. I nodded. Richard stepped back, suddenly respectful. "I had no idea." "No, you had gossip." That landed harder than shouting ever could. For years, Maya had built a version of me people could look down on. The strange sister, the lonely one, the one who must have failed somehow because she wasn't loud enough to advertise herself. And I let her, because my work mattered more than being understood. But what I didn't know that day was how far she had gone behind my back. After the party, one of the agents quietly handed me a separate file. Inside were records of unauthorized attempts to access my personal history. Someone had used company databases, private services, even old contacts trying to dig into my past. The source trail led back to one person, Maya. My own sister had spent months trying to prove I was a fraud. She wanted dirt so badly, she broke policies, misused corporate systems, and involved her boss without his knowledge. I sat alone in my apartment that night, staring at the file. I wasn't angry, I was heartbroken. I remembered birthdays I paid for when she was broke, rent money I sent when she lost jobs, the times I defended her when others called her selfish. And this was what she did with my love? She hunted me. The next morning, Maya arrived at my door crying. "I was curious, that's all," she said. "You were always hiding things." "I was protecting you." "From what?" "From knowing things that could put you in danger." She scoffed through tears. "You always talk like you're special." That sentence healed something inside me, because I finally understood. She never wanted truth. She wanted me smaller than her. And anyone who needs you beneath them does not love you. I closed the door gently. Then I made one call. Not for revenge, for accountability. An internal review was opened at Richard's company. Data misuse, security gaps, executive negligence. Facts move quietly, but they move. Within a week, the whispers around Maya had changed, and this time they were true. 3 weeks later, I was invited back to the same penthouse, only now it wasn't a celebration, it was a board meeting. Richard Hale stood at the head of the table, no longer polished and certain. Across from him sat legal counsel, compliance officers, and 2 federal representatives. I entered last. No sparkling music, no fake laughter, just truth. The investigation found that Maya had repeatedly accessed restricted databases through company credentials. Richard had ignored warnings about security gaps because he trusted her personally. That trust cost him everything. He was forced to resign pending further review. Maya was terminated immediately and barred from future internal recommendations. When she saw me, tears filled her eyes again. "You did this to me." I almost pitied her. "No," I said calmly, "you did this to yourself." She shook her head. "You could have stopped it. And you could have loved me." The room fell silent. For the first time in our lives, she had no performance left. No charm, no audience, just consequences. I signed the final cooperation documents and prepared to leave when Richard spoke. "I owe you an apology." I looked at him. "You believed the loudest person in the room. That's not my burden to carry." Then I walked out. The months after that were strangely peaceful. My family called demanding I forgive her. They said blood should matter more than pride. But blood without respect is just history. I chose distance. I chose quiet. I chose myself. Maya tried contacting me many times. Long messages, excuses, memories, promises. I wished her healing, but from far away. Some wounds close only when the hand that caused them can no longer reach you. A year later, I stood on a balcony in another city after completing one of the most important assignments of my career. The sunset painted everything gold. For the first time in years, I felt light. Not because Maya lost, but because I finally stopped trying to win love from someone committed to misunderstanding me. That was the real freedom. People think revenge is destruction. Sometimes it is, but the deepest revenge is becoming untouchable by the person who once broke you. If someone must lie about you to feel powerful, they were never above you to begin with. And if silence protects your peace, then silence is not weakness, it is power.